Okay, so let's have a look how to do the retrospective runaround jumping puzzle. The reason we want to look at that is because it is one of the weekly Wizard's Vault or Astral Acclaim this week. So we want to start off at the Drydock Grotto waypoint just here. And you'll know you're in the right place because you'll see this huge underground ship in front of you. Along the way, you're going to come across a number of these. I'm going to dismiss the mech, and if you are on a pet class, it's easier to do these jumping puzzles if your pet's away. So if you do come across these, what you want to do is you want to run through, and you can see it gives me swiftness for about 30 seconds, which is going to make some of the jumps a bit easier. Most of the places where you would benefit from having one of those, there is one. So most of the places where if you see one of those, it may well be that there's some slightly more difficult jumps coming up. But there's nothing hugely difficult in there as we go through, to be fair. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of to be able to open the chest at the end, as you can see this flag and this script to me, so this is a checkpoint. We can see we've got one here, we've hit a milestone. So this lasts for 24 hours. It also lasts through leaving the map. However, if you leave the map or log out and come back, you lose the other effect that it has, where if I fall from a high place, I'm going to be brought back to that checkpoint, the last checkpoint I got to, and I can start again from there if I die. If you leave the map, you often lose that ability, so it will still count as far as completion's concerned, but it isn't going to bring you back. Now, you can use mounts to make this easier. I haven't used mounts. I'm not going to use mounts at any point. There will be some points where I use the glider, but you don't actually have to use the glider, but it does make it much easier. Obviously, mounts make it even easier still. I think we've just gone past another checkpoint up there. My checkpoints are showing on 2 now. I actually forget where that one is. I will try and point them out as we go, though. As long as you're following the path that I'm walking on, you should be fine. So again, we can see this. I'm just going to run through it to get some swiftness. The jump puzzle isn't actually that difficult. It is just quite long, and it can be quite confusing, because everything kind of looks the same down here. And there's a little bit, we'll get to a little bit where you start portaling around, where it gets a little bit more confusing. We're just going to take our time with it. Usually, when you know the path, it takes about just under 15 minutes to do it. So it's one of the longer jumping puzzles. But it's not as difficult as, for example, like the one in Draconis Mons or Ember Bay, which are also quite long, but also quite difficult. And we do get a nice little tour of the Silverwastes as we go through as well. A lot of it's underground, but there is now and again where we find ourselves up. Here we are at another checkpoint. As you can see, most of the jumps are fairly straightforward. Just want to drop down here. And although it is a long jumping puzzle, there are a couple of chests along the way. So this is the first of those. They're all kind of in this section where we are now, actually. Right, let's grab the Velocity Elixir, because these are... Some of the jumps are just a little bit kind of on the edge of how far your character can jump. A little bit easier if we have that swiftness to help us out. As you can see, not too bad. Oh, and we've got another checkpoint there as well, just above us. So if anything happens, we get reset to this point. And again, we found ourselves up at the top, getting a nice view of the Silverwastes. Let's grab this swiftness. You don't have to interact with them, by the way, you just literally run through the kind of water stream that's coming out of it. Into here. We've got another checkpoint just in front of us there. There's a chest here that I actually, when I did the run earlier on my other character to kind of remind myself how to do it, I forgot about. So it's kind of just in this little crevice in the wall. You want to remember to jump in and get that, and I want to fall like here. Now, if you've got, I don't think there's a checkpoint on the way down here, so technically you could probably use like the Griffin or the Sky Scale to speed this bit up a little bit. But you do want to make sure you're hitting all those checkpoints on the way, so if you, once you kind of build a familiarity with where those checkpoints are, there we've got another one, you can kind of just literally kind of fly the Griffin or the Sky Scale between them, at least for the first few anyway. Some of the later ones, as you'll see, we kind of portal about a little bit. There is also, though I've already done it and I can't remember the locations of them all, but there is also, as you go through this, a number of gold badges that you can collect. I think there's 30 of them in total throughout there. Oh, and we've just got ourselves another checkpoint. So if you haven't done that, this is where the gold badge collection takes place. It's basically throughout this jumping puzzle. And I think it awards a core mastery point. So if you need a core mastery point, that is a, got another chest here. That is a time consuming but not necessarily difficult way of getting them. And there's lots of, we've got another checkpoint. And there's lots of guides online on where they are and stuff like that. Unfortunately, once you've done them an account, you can't see them even on a different character, so I'm not able to on this account anyway. I do have another account that I haven't done it on, so potentially I could create a guide for that at some point as well. If it's something people want, just let me know that in the comments, if that's something you would be interested in. So the swiftness. You just want to kind of make sure you hug the wall here, because here we are quite high up, so a fall, if you've not got a glider or a flying mount, will make short work of you. Probably the biggest danger in this jumping puzzle is that some of the ledges are just a little bit small, and you could potentially fall off, which is why the checkpoints are in. So now we come to the point where we're going to start teleporting through some of these scrit holes. They're a little bit different than the ones you go through on the surface because there's no confirmation on them. Now, a lot of the ones we're going through, there's only one scrit hole there, so, but there is at least one where there's multiple. So if you've got a glider, you can use a glider to avoid the damage there, but you can survive. All of the falls I take in this, you can survive without a glider, provided you land where I land. And so you can see that there's a scrit hole here. We're going to ignore that one. That's not the one we won. The one we won is right here in this little tucked away area. Now we want this one. Lost the elixir. Again, just make sure you're hugging that wall because that is quite a bit of a drop and it's going to set you back a fair ways. This one. You want to hug this wall again as we go down. Now, coming up, we've got the one where there's... Oh, no, not this one. It must be the next one where there's a few different ones. No. Definitely soon, where we've got a collection of them together. We don't want this first one. Again, hug the wall here. We're quite high up. We don't want this one. We don't want this one. We want to drop down and we want to land here. So this one, there's three. The one you want is the one closest to the edge here. Make sure you interact with the right one, otherwise you're going to get taken to the wrong place. And then we want to... This one here, just underneath that little wooden plank. And then we just hug the wall again. You can see some really thin sections coming up here. You might want to kind of jump around them, but you can just basically hug the wall and run the way. In a lot of cases, if you do fall down, you can, like, if you've got the springer, you could just spring back up to where you were and continue, providing the fall doesn't kill you, of course. Okay, and we've got another checkpoint. Right, now, we're at the end. We've got all 9 milestones. So we're eligible for loot. If we go there now, though, we can't open it. So what we need to do is go to the rubble. So the first one here, you can see I've got a script key fragment. We've got another one over here. 3, and then piece 2 is in this suspicious rubble. And now, if I go over to the chest, click on it, unlock the chest. Now initially, I don't get the loot. What I need to do is take care of this. It does say legendary, but he's not like a normal legendary enemy. He's actually quite easy to beat. And then you need to open the chest again. That didn't get us the loot. We need to open it again. It says I'm missing at least 1 milestone. I'm not. I had 9 milestones. I'm not sure why that came up. And you can see we got a loot for it. Had I not already completed it, that would have, if this triggered the achievement. If you haven't done it at all, it'll trigger 2 achievements. The initial one with 10 achievement points, and it's also in return to, it's in one of these return 2 achievements as well. So, no, this must be in part 2. So you'll also get some credit towards this as well. And then to go back to the beginning, we just interact with this. That one does have a confirmation because it's a normal script tunnel, and it takes us back to the beginning. And if you want to, you can just switch characters and do it again on another character. This is the second one. I've done it on this morning, for example. Still got all the same rewards again. So that's that. That's the retrospective runaround jumping puzzle in the Silverwastes from the Dry Dock Grotto waypoint. Thank you very much for watching, and if you've made it to this point, you may as well subscribe for any videos I make like this in the future.